y'all are this afternoon. This is your buddy George Jones over at the Bergen Gun Range with my first installment on a new series that I intend to do on my channel. And these videos will be posted to my channel, but they'll also be held by me so I can use them in training, CCDW or whatever. So I'll probably post this as a premiere. And what we're talking about today is the nomenclature and individual idiosyncrasies of various classes of firearms. And I'm going to start out with double-action revolver. Here is a double-action revolver. This is a .357 Magnum, 686L frame, blued. Used to be a very common gun in American law enforcement before the transition to automatic pistols. Now, the nomenclature of this firearm, the nomenclature is the individual descriptions of the parts of the firearm. Okay, so we have a front sight and a front sight insert. Okay, this is the front sight ramp. We have the rear sight, which is of the tang type. Okay, so it has a full-length tang on there, and that creates a spring for the adjustment for elevation. It's a fully adjustable sight, so it's adjustable for windage and elevation. Okay. This is the hammer and the hammer spur. This type of firearm has a fixed firing pin. The safety device on this gun is called rebounding hammer. If you look at it, when you let go of the trigger, the hammer rebounds. See that? That's rebounding hammer. The hammer rebounds and locks in place and cannot be pushed forward. Okay. This portion of a revolver is called the back strap. Whether or not there's a piece of metal exposed there, this portion of the grip section is called the back strap. This portion of the grip section is called the front strap. Okay. And of course, this is called the butt. Okay. Trigger guard, that's this portion. Okay, protects the trigger. The trigger. Okay. Moving over here, we have a cylinder latch. Now, on a Smith & Wesson revolver and most revolvers, you push the cylinder latch forward and the cylinder will open. On some brands, you pull the cylinder latch back in order to get it open. On some brands, you have a arrangement where you push in slightly, and that allows the cylinder to open. And then on some guns, like for instance Dan Wesson, the cylinder latch is actually up here and you pull it down. There's some high standards that are made that way as well. Okay. This entire section is referred to as the frame. Okay, and this little hump out here is referred to as the toe of the frame. All right, the cylinder with all of the chambers in it is this part. Okay, and then this is the ejector rod, and you push that guy and that pushes the ejector star out and allows you to eject cartridges. Okay. Then there's the drive star, which is this, which is a portion of the cylinder arrangement that is driven by an internal part called the hand. And when you pull the hammer back, the hand advances and rotates the cylinder. Actually, it rotates it this way. Okay? So the hand, when you pull the trigger and the hammer back, advances and drives the cylinder around to the next index for firing. Okay? When the cylinder is lined up with the barrel, when the chamber is lined up with the barrel and it's ready to fire, this is referred to as in battery. It's in battery. The cartridge is lined up with everything and it's ready to go. Okay. There is a small section here. This is called the cylinder lock. This is the cylinder lock bar. And it corresponds with this part, the cylinder lock cut. Okay. Now, the cylinder lock cut is an interesting thing to talk about. The cylinder lock cut has a deep cut in it and then an area that is scalloped out. Okay. The direction that the cylinder lock cut goes from deep to shallow indicates the direction that the cylinder will turn mechanically. All right. So if it's locked up in there and you can see the cylinder lock cut, the shallow part goes out this way. So when you pull that hammer back, it's going to turn that way. Okay? So there you are. That's basically the nomenclature of a Smith & Wesson revolver with small idiosyncrasies to other brands. Here's a Ruger. Now this is a Ruger Speed 6, it's called. Okay. And the Speed 6 has the button for a cylinder release. Okay, goes just like that. And it's a double action revolver. Well, what does double action mean? Double action means that there are two different ways that you can fire the gun. One, you can pull the hammer back and then pull the trigger, and that'll release the trigger, and it'll fall forward, the hammer will fall forward and fire the gun, fire the cartridge. And then when you release it, everything goes back in neutral. Now this gun has a device called a transfer bar. That's this piece of metal right here. So what happens here is you pull the hammer back or you pull the trigger all the way through. The transfer bar advances and covers the firing pin, which takes up the space here in the hammer where it's cut away. The hammer falls forward, hits the transfer bar hits the firing pin, and the gun fires. Then when you let go of the trigger, the transfer bar drops down, allowing a certain amount of clearance between the hammer and the firing pin. So that gun won't fire if you drop it, okay? And that's how a transfer bar works. Here's an interesting little gun. This is a Harrington Richardson. Now the Harrington Richardson is simpler made than, say, the Smith & Wesson or the Ruger. And the way the cylinder opens on this gun is you pull this pin out and drop it open. Now, Harrington Richardsons are this way. They also have one where you pull the pin completely out and the cylinder drops completely out in your hand. But this is a retained pin version. You pull it out, drop it open, just like that. Now, one of the things to think about is this design, this cylinder lock design is common in Harrington Richardsons, Iver Johnsons. This is a rimfire revolver, and it's pretty common in centerfire revolvers. The RG, the ROM, made in Germany. RG has several pull pin swing out designs in 22 and centerfire. The Aramidius revolvers, which are made in Germany, and the Rec revolvers that are made in Germany. They have, many of them have pull pin swing out designs. And it's good. It works, it's solid. Okay, so there's a primer on the basic operation and nomenclature of double action revolvers. I hope it helps you. All right, thank you. Like, state, share, commentate, and subscribe, and we'll see you when we see you.